Hi everybody, how you doing? Welcome to This Week in Foosball. Thanks for tuning in. You see who I got here to my left, Mr. Dave Gummeson. How you doing, sir?
Good, how you doing?
I've been trying to get an interview with you for a while now, and just that paths haven't quite crossed. Well,
I missed a few tournaments this year.
A few, you think?
Yeah,
Did you?
I didn't go to Texas State or Nationals.
Oh, that's right. You weren't at Texas State, right? I was hoping you would be there so I could do this. How you been?
Good, real good.
We've talked about this before, like when I first met you, but I mean, we didn't meet like we're friends now, but the first time I'd ever seen you was at a striker tournament in Long Beach.
Yeah, I think that was 86.
Yeah,
like 86,
that.
yeah.
I was there with some friends from down in Houston, and they pointed you out, and when you walked by, I forget who it was, and he was like, "Oh gosh, there's Dave Gummeson, wow." And I was just starting out playing, well, not really just starting out playing, but it was one of my first times to travel to a tournament, and I thought it was pretty cool to see somebody that was considered royalty.
I wasn't aware Foosball had royalty.
Well, you're royalty for sure. How many world titles do you have?
6.
6? Too many to remember?
No, I think Todd and Fred are the only two that have that problem.
Oh yeah, and Cindy.
Oh yeah, Cindy. I think she's got more than everybody.
Probably does. Yeah. She's an incredible player. How long have you been playing?
38 years.
38 years?
Yeah.
You don't look that old. How old are you? Older than 38?
Old enough to have been playing 38 years.
Right. You're out of Minneapolis?
Yep, Minneapolis, right. Minnesota.
Right. What's Foosball like up there right now?
They've got a fairly regular player base that play. There's a dry partner every week at a place called Mortimer's every Wednesday night, and then a lot of players go to that same place on Friday night just to play pickup games and stuff. But that's pretty much the main action, unless you go down to like Mankato or up north or something. They have tournaments there.
How'd you get to playing? How'd you start playing?
I started when I was 13. My best friend and I had paper routes back then. Remember those? We'd go roller skating and stuff, and they had foosball tables there, and I ended up buying a foosball table, and it kind of just snowballed from there. We found out about local tournaments and just got hooked. And I mean, foosball, Minnesota is just a tremendous place back then as far as getting started, because a lot of the top players in in fact, the year I started playing in '76, the world champions were from Minneapolis, Bednar and Bells. So it's kind of neat seeing local players where
It was a hotbed up there in the West.
Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of Hall of Famers from Minnesota, Bednar Bells, Wiswell Furry, Allwell, a lot of other great players. Billy Sumption was up that way, Tom Hansen, just on, and then just a ton of other really good players too.
When was your first major win?
Probably have to consider. Well, I guess it would be '84 Nationals on Dynamo. I won that with Bob Maloney, one of the great players of the game from Colorado. I think we beat Watt and Gibson in the finals of that.
Was that was prior to them having the Tornado and Dynamo in the same tournament?
Yeah, that was before they kind of merged. That was the first year they actually had it together, was in '86. They had both tables at the World Championships. That was kind of weird, playing on both of them the same weekend.
You're right. I remember I set that tournament up. I didn't play a whole lot back then. What did you think about going from the small hole to the big hole?
At first I thought, how can you possibly miss? Like, my shooting percentage was ridiculous the first several tournaments, but then as you play on it more and you kind of get used to it, it's weird how the goal shrinks just a little bit. But at first, having shot on that little goal on Dynamo and tournament soccer, you just think it's like shooting fish in a bucket.
You're throwing a ball at the side of at a barn or something. Huh?
Yeah, just a huge goal.
The passing series was a little different on Dynamo than on Tornado. How did you manage that?
It was for a lot of people, but back then a lot of people did brush passes and stick or angle ups, stuff like that. But even back then I did a lane wall. So I remember when Todd was telling me about the Tornado, and I had never played on it before, he was telling me how great my game would translate onto it. And it does. I mean, it's a great table for a stick series on the 5-man.
Oh, sure. By far, I think you've got the best wall lane series in the game.
Maybe on the near side. I think Tony's got that covered on the.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's you know.
He does mine on steroids.
The guy's amazing.
Yeah.
You mentioned somebody. I was talking to Johnny Horton downstairs earlier, and he had said that the person that he thought was the greatest player to ever play the game was Doug Furry.
I would actually agree with that. Minus, you got to go with Fred and Todd. Just, I mean, sheer number of.
And that's one of the things that he had mentioned too.
If you're gonna, I mean, really, the only tangible way to measure success is results, and there's nobody that even comes close to Todd and Fred for results. I mean, their record, nobody's ever going to even come close.
Right.
But if you take those two out of it and start going down the list, to me, Furry was the best pressure player I've ever seen. Again, taking out Todd and Fred, the equation, Doug seemed to always be able to go to that next level when he had to.
Well, he won the Porsche,
yeah, and then
Corvette.
Him and Wiswell won the 2 Corvettes. The single biggest cash prize, $30,000 in '79. And then when Wiz died, he played with Lott and switched to forward and won playing with Lott in the '81 Worlds.
It would have been something else if he'd just kept on playing, huh? He probably.
Yeah, I think he lost the. I still see Doug and talk to him. We're still really good friends. So he just doesn't have the same passion to play anymore. He's just he has 3 kids and he's an electrician up in Minnesota and just super awesome person. Just doesn't have the interest in playing anymore.
It'd be nice to have him come out sometime. Does he ever show up at the tournaments?
No,
not at all.
I dragged him out to Mortimer's one Friday night about a year ago, and he had fun, but not for a tournament, just to play. And it's funny how fast some of that stuff came back to him, but you know, you can't just quit playing for years and years and years and then come back and and he'll be the first person to tell you that too.
Sure.
He's a real humble person. He doesn't.
Sure.
He's not one of the ones that'll sit there and tell you he can come back in 6 months and dominate. In fact, I showed him a little video of Spreedman's Firewall Passing Series, and after watching it for about 2 minutes, he started laughing and he looked at me and he goes, "I don't want any part of that." So.
Hey, that's tough. It's definitely tough. Do you get to play much out at home? Do you get out?
No, I get out occasionally to play in the locals, but not very often. Right before a big tournament, I try to get out and play a little bit more.
Right. Y'all play a lot more often during the winter than the summer up there, don't y'all?
Yeah, typically you're indoors more. It's too cold outside, in January especially.
I noticed that up there. It seemed like having major tournaments up in that area during the summer, it was like it's kind of opposite of most of the parts of the country where during the summer you don't get a whole lot of people out because
they want to go to their cabins in the lakes and enjoy the nice weather because it's brutally hot in Texas in the summer. It's beautiful up in Minnesota in the summer. So and then in the winter you're stuck inside unless you're either ice fishing or snowmobiling or skiing or something like that, but it's still more of it's better for foosball in the winter.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed and heard too. Brutally hot in Texas, huh?
Yeah, as I've experienced.
Yeah, I saw you on was that Tracy McMillan's lawnmower? Did he pay you to do that?
No, we just thought it would be funny.
At first, when I saw that picture, I was like, "That's not Dave. Is that Dave?" I couldn't tell if it was you or not, but that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I don't know how we got that idea. It was because he had a riding lawnmower, and we just thought it would be funny. So.
So you're playing with Tracy this weekend, then, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Going on almost 15 years.
It's been that long y'all been playing together?
Yeah.
Wow. And how many titles do y'all have?
We've gotten the 2 Worlds, 2006, 2008, and then multi-table, 1 in France, and then 3 nationals, 2003, 4, and 9.
That's at the World Cup you were talking about?
Yeah, with the multi-table World Championships. We won that in 2010. Yeah.
Remember? Excited about this weekend? What do you think about the turnout so far?
It's hard to gauge right now. It didn't look like a ton of people last night, but a lot of people. I'm sure there'll be a lot more today with a lot of the main events starting today.
I heard there were 91 players amateur players in amateur singles.
Yeah, I don't know how that compares to last year, but it doesn't seem too bad.
No, not too bad. You know, when you look down there and you see, it was basically half the people that were there, or a little more than half. Seems kind of light this year. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what the numbers were from last year to this year, but hopefully it's going in the right direction. I don't know that it is. I don't think that it is, but
I think the last time we talked, we had talked about how the state of foosball was. Remember, we had Todd and Terry.
Oh yeah, that was a long time ago. That was in Kentucky, wasn't it?
It was Kentucky. Yeah. Do you think it's gotten any better? Or?
No. Unfortunately, it seems to have. I mean, I hate to be depressing, but it seems to have dropped quite a bit from that back in that time. I think it reached its peak tornado time. Obviously it was the biggest in the 70s. It was a huge fad back then, and then it kind of dropped off the edge when tournament soccer went bankrupt, and then it was pretty dead the first few years of Dynamo, and then it kind of gradually built up, and then Tornado took it over, and then I think it reached its peak probably in the mid-90s. I mean, the 90s in general were pretty strong.
Oh yeah, we were setting up 200 tables and having 1,000.
I know the year that I won singles in '95, it was a 512 team bracket.
Incredible.
Yeah, it was almost 400 singles players, 390 or something ridiculous.
And they weren't seeding back then either, huh?
I don't think they were. Yeah.
So you had to come out and just play and get it done.
Yeah, I don't remember my first match or two being like top pro masters. But I mean, I had a lot of tough matches. The reason I'm not sure it was seeded is because it did get progressively higher ranked players. So if it wasn't seeded, I didn't see any like early round.
Oh, you got the easy bracket, huh?
No, just it was spread out.
All right.
So that makes me think that maybe it was seeded, but I don't remember it being seeded then. So maybe it wasn't.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Could have been. You said it was a fad. You really think it's a fad?
It was just one of those things that was big in the 70s, and there was no video games until later, like the end of the 70s, early 80s is when arcade games came out. And before that, when you walked into any bowling alley, arcade bar, whatever, foosball.
See, I think of when you say fad, it's something that it's fun now, and then and then it's kind of a novelty type of thing, and then off doing your whatever else after that, but. This is, I don't really consider it a fad.
I don't know if maybe that's not the right word, but it was big at the time due to whatever the circumstances were around it then, and there were certain other things that came into play that took some of that popularity from it or forced it down a little bit. I mean, obviously, even after the original boom of video games where people were replacing all the foosball tables with video games because you could make more money at it, then the arcade completely disappeared where you don't really see it.
It really took a 1-2 punch back then.
Well, it went from video games to now video games is just in everybody's home. See, there isn't even you can't even go out and find an arcade hardly anymore. So the only exposure you can get to foosball is bars really,
right.
And that's drinking age. So
right. Most people that go into a bar, they're not going to a bar to play foosball.
That's your first exposure to it though. Whereas you might have been exposed to it as a 13, 14, 15-year-old in the 70s. Now you're not going to be even exposed to it maybe until you start going out to bars, and it's got a pretty steep learning curve.
Oh yes, yeah. Especially if you're playing somebody.
Right, you get up against somebody who knows what they're doing, and you're just starting. It's kind of you got to get a certain level of skill before it starts becoming fun. When you can't do anything on the table, it's not as fun unless you're playing against somebody else that can't do anything either. You play against somebody that can pass and shoot, and you can't do that. It's just demoralizing. So that's where the good players have to try to cultivate newer players and really put them in an environment where they don't feel so threatened.
And they really do, and it's kind of it doesn't quite work out that way in the bar scene a lot of times, though. I've noticed, I've played all around the country, and when they're playing in a bar, I mean, you'll have regular players that are tournament players that are nice to new players, but then there's others that just kind of make you not want to play.
Right, if you're just in a bar playing and it's not a tournament, I can see how somebody putting up the quarters and, hey, let's try this, and then you just get destroyed by somebody else.
I think it takes a little more effort to get a new person in a bar playing than it would having, when you're younger to get them to play.
You pick things up quicker too, I think, when you have more I mean, you have a lot more free time when you're a teenager
For sure.
than you do when by the time you're that age. You probably have a full-time job, or maybe you're going to college, whatever. But I think you have more expendable time at those teenage years. So if you can get them hooked then, it's a lot better.
Right. I'm glad that it's survived as long as it has. Overall, all the adversity it's had to face, ever since what happened with tournament soccer. I mean, it had issues back then. Like I said, the 1-2 punch was a 1-2-3 punch because of failure tournament soccer. Then the arcades going away, and then video games and then arcades. So we really had a lot to fight against to stay alive. And I guess we're still lucky that we used to have this now, because we could easily not have it.
Sure.
But I hope things get better. See what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody who loves the game wants to see it succeed. I mean, I know a lot of the people who do the promotions, Mary included, get a lot of criticism and stuff, and some of it might be justified, but a lot of the times, I mean, they're just trying to do the best they can on what they think is right, and I can't imagine getting beat up for it on a daily basis and still feeling good about it. So, so I mean, I try to be a little less critical, and still support it as best I can, even if I don't agree with all the politics or decisions behind it. Just know that the people are trying to do what they think is right, even though they might not be doing what nobody's going to agree on the right way to promote it. And I'm sure everybody's, there's been a ton of mistakes made over the years, but again, if at least you're in there taking your swings, you got to give them some credit.
Right. Exactly.
So, I totally support Mary, Brendan, anybody who's trying to do something that actually will further the game in any way. Has my respect.
And mine too. I was talking with somebody yesterday about the game, and Don Shalfo was actually, we were talking about why we still do what we do. And there was a time where I was just about done with foosball, and then I got to thinking, I owe foosball. It's not the opposite. I know there's a few people that feel entitled. Sometimes it seems, and I owe foosball because it's given me a lot. It's given me lifetime friendships. I've literally carried some friends to the grave. Rest their soul, and maybe that'll happen with me someday. But without it, I wouldn't have been able to do all the traveling I've been able to do, or meet all the friends that I have, and it's kind of important to try and support it as much as you can and keep it alive.
Yeah, I don't think foosball owes anybody anything.
No.
It's always the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was nice talking to you. It's been a while since, how long has it been? About 5 years now, huh? Something like that since we talked.
Probably.
Matter of fact, I think that was the first interview that I ever did with anybody, with you guys.
Oh, that one in Kentucky?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Terry, Tommy, me, Todd. Who else was there?
And Zoller walked in at the end there.
Yeah.
John Zoller.
Yeah.
Right. Well, good luck this weekend. I hope you do good. Of course, I'm always rooting for you and Tracy. Always on y'all's side.
We appreciate all the support we can get.
Right, sure, right, exactly. You don't want any people up in the stands yelling, boo! That'd be no fun. Anyway, it's nice talking to you again, and good luck this weekend. Y'all see Dave, tell him hi, give him a pat on the back, and I guess good luck.
Thanks, appreciate it.
We'll see y'all later. Bye.